Welcome to Exhausted Sparrows Unite. I am your host, Krista Jones, along with my beautiful co-host, Chantel Schaefer. And today, we're dealing with was it something I said, comments? Like, have you ever spent hours dissecting a one-word text like it holds the answers to your entire self-worth? Someone says K and suddenly you're reliving your entire middle school trauma. Yeah, same. In today's episode, we're going to take a flashlight into all those dark corners of overthinking. Oh, Krista Jones has plenty to say. The way that we internalize silence and mood shifts and half-closed emoji faces like it's our job to decode it and then to fix it. Spoiler alert, it's not your job. You're not a mind reader. You're just someone who's tired of being in a one-sided emotional escape room. Chantel Schaefer, this is my episode.
I just picture you stuck in an escape room
with ADD.
and I just want to help you get out.
I was in an escape room once and I went straight to the last clue to try to get out. It doesn't work that way. It was frustrating.
I've never done an escape room.
Well, that is what we are going to do for the next staff development meeting.
Yes.
We're going to an escape room. Book it now, Dano.
Let's
Book
go.
it now. Sparrow's Nest is where Chantel and I both work. I founded the charity. It's here in the Hudson Valley in New York, and we feed people that have a cancer diagnosis. In the middle of all of that trauma and chaos, the staff here, I just watch them trying to lead, the most authentic lives they can, trying to give themselves grace. And I'm like, we're doing a podcast on all of this because, so many times I'll write a post where I'll be vulnerable and everybody will write me back and say, are you okay? Are you, and they're, it's things like, missed 2 meetings today and packed my cell phone in Chantel's lunchbox. It's just really everyday things that happen. And then people all of a sudden, and I realized it's because they think I have it all together. And this podcast for me was really my release to say, here's vulnerable Krista, watch out. And this episode for me, man, this episode has led me into mental health spirals almost on a daily basis. I am much better than I was, but man, do I have a long way to go. Internalizing something that doesn't even exist is my superpower.
I'm going to put it on a t-shirt.
That's this episode's t-shirt.
Internalizing is my superpower.
It's true. I think many people do it. I would say way more women than men do this. My husband will be like, huh? Mm-hmm. She just wrote you K. And I'm like, she just wrote me K. Then I go down that. But he doesn't even bat an eye. And I'm sure Jeremiah's the same way.
Well, and I think text messages are the worst.
Oh, we're going to get into that, girl. We are going to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a whole overthinking spiral. So let's talk about what it is. Let's define it first, because it is, you're assigning meaning to something that is ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it. And Krista Jones considers almost everything ambiguous because I am overthinking almost all of it. But somebody that gives you something that you may not know how to take it, right? That is the overthinking spiral for some of us, right? It's called cognitive closure bias. I just looked that up really quickly. And
Fancy.
Shockingly, empaths, which we talked about in other episodes, and high anxiety folks, which we also talk about often, absorb the tension of that, which we've already divulged is not ours. It's not ours. How they said it, it's not our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But then we don't listen to that. We then internalize it, and then we spiral, and we're a failure, and everything goes crazy. We replay over and over the scenario. And then I embellish on it. I just embellish in everyday life. I'm calling it out. It's me. Sometimes the story sounds a little better. And Chantel will be like, no, it's only 20 people, not 33. I'm like, I don't know. 33 just came to my mind. But I think that, yeah, by the time you're done replaying it, It wasn't even the scene. You cannot even remember what the scene was because you're like, and then I think after she said that to me, she rolled her eyes. And then the next time you replayed, she rolled her eyes and she kind of like gave you a look of disgust while rolling the eyes. Like, and then maybe a word came out. Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't even know what's real anymore. I can't remember the scene. But I just know for some reason I'm a failure in the middle of the moment. So welcome. If this is you, which it is so many of us, if it's not you on an everyday basis like me, it is absolutely you at times in your life. Welcome to this segment because we are here to cure all of us.
We are?
Well, I was going to keep going, but it looked like you had something to
I'm
say.
trying to wait to see how we're curing.
She looks incredulous right now. I wish you guys could see her. I'm so getting this video camera in. Studies show that people with high social anxiety exhibit increased activation in their fear center. And it also affects the way they view social media.
Interesting.
It does because you're scrutinizing everything. That's me.
Well, it's how I wind up going down a rabbit hole reading comments because I'm trying to find out what the actual truth is.
Yes. But for me, it may be that I was just with you in the gym, earlier in the morning. And then later at the night, you're like, I hate people. They're so rude. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do this morning? Like immediately it's me. Mm-hmm. I am immediately the problem. Sing the song.
I'm the problem. It's me.
Very good. Very good. So immediately, how insane is that? This poor woman is just putting something on Facebook. And by the way, I don't like cliffhangers. Don't do that.
Don't vague post.
Tag the person or just don't say anything at all. If you're not going to tell me that it's not me, this is why social media and I, we have a love-hate relationship, and I put a 30-minute timer on it now. Oh, I do. I am in and out of my Facebook and Instagram within 30 minutes, and it's a lot of stuff that has to deal with Sparrow's Nest, which is our charity in the Hudson Valley, New York. We feed cancer patients. But I'll move on. I'll go to TikTok or something dumb where it can't possibly be me. That's why I won't follow any of you, because in case it is going to be me, I'm just not doing it. I've already spiraled.
You really have.
And we're only 4 minutes in. No, we're 7 minutes in, and I've spiraled. But you take that 2-letter text and you turn it into like this 7-act drama series. That's what happens.
For me, it's the silence. Like, if you don't respond, like we're having a conversation and all of a sudden
do you mean respond. Me and you? Like, are you?
No, you're usually really good. But actually a week ago, I sent a text message and I thought what I said was funny, but then I was like, maybe they didn't think that was funny. Maybe they took it the wrong way. Oh my gosh, are they ever going to speak to me again? We're fine. But I spent a lot of hours worrying about that text message because there was no response.
No, and then you want to send another text message. And we do need to 100% talk about that. You brought that up, text messaging, social media, all of that. Anything that you are actually physically writing in a sentence that you are not speaking, so you cannot hear the inflection, the emotional tone behind it, you can take almost any of it and you can just turn it into just an out of control spiral.
Yeah. And with the lack of punctuation, what is it? Is it a question? Is it a comment? Are you yelling at me?
100%. Mm-hmm. And I also, it's interesting that I am dissecting everything that you're writing me, because a lot of times I'm really just so busy. Like, you've seen it. There's a text coming in as we're in the middle of a meeting and I'm like, maybe that should be later or something. Like I am like, because I want to answer the text. But I've made somebody spiral because honestly, we're just in a busy society. We're not trying to be rude. We're trying to get something out. Half the time I don't proofread it. We've heard the horror stories of what that sounds like. I can't even talk about it on the air. It's X-rated. Like, I have ended up like, and then somebody's been like, and I'm like, oh, that's a whole nother spiraling. But the text message and all of that, the social media, you don't know what somebody actually means in their sentences. And when you overthink things, you're in a mess before you know it.
Oh, absolutely.
It happens to me all the time. So is it a red flag or is it a red herring, right? Like, you have to learn to tell the difference between actual concerns and imagined catastrophes, right? Like, your intuitiveness, there absolutely are times that we are feeling something in a room. And I'm going to say this as an empathic person, people that have a lot of empathy really feel all of that. So they have a really keen intuition when the energy in a room is not great. Add that to just overthinking, and Krista Jones is a monster. Like, it is not a good mix. And so you got to deep dive into it, because not everything out there is a red flag. Mm-hmm. And how do you tell the difference? Well, I'm glad you asked, Chantel. First of all, I saw this and I'm like, these are great steps to try to figure that out. You write the comment down. Writing is very important. I have learned that. I retain so much more when I physically, old-fashioned, take notes, write things down, write down the comment. Does the person that sent you this comment have a pattern of this, right? And that pattern, it may not be like a toxic pattern. Like, do they, when you're writing them, use the word K a lot? Like your children. Yes, they do. So you've got to analyze that. Like, are they often saying K? Yes. Well, all right. Well, that's their personality. They're just letting you know, gotcha, mom.
Yep.
Which drives me insane. It's better than bruh. But man, it's not much better.
Bruh.
Was it aggressive? Was it manipulating, or was it cruel? That's a little bit harder to figure out, because it really depends on how you're reading the tone of it. Was your physical reaction strong? Could be a red flag, but it doesn't mean that. When they were writing it, did you know the kind of frame of mind they were in? Do you know that it is one of your friends that's a nurse and she worked 3 days in a row? So was she tired, maybe distracted, vague? Like, does she have a job? Does he have a job? Your husband that, is very intense. So getting a lot out of them emotionally is something that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Did it come days after a healthy connection? This is the part that is so important to me, and I always forget. Like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, Chantel's mad at me. And there's no rhyme or reason. Like, we went for a walk at 6 a.m. What in the world could have happened in 4 hours? Were there healthy connections all before this? Like think that through. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so silly. Did you assume that a mood that they're in is about you? Because people are in moods all the time.
I bet you think the song is about you.
That was good. I know where you were going with it.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you?
See, there we are.
So if yes, this really is an issue in your own head, not theirs.
I do this so much.
And this is why I think this is so helpful for me. The key in all of this is, what does this come from? Do I have a relationship with them? And has there been anything in our history over the weeks, the months, the days? Is there anything in our history that would now make them mad at me? Or are they just in a bad mood? And of course, we shouldn't take it on other people, but we're jerks. We do.
It happens.
We do. We don't mean to. And so then, this is something I do all the time. And I do this interestingly because when I went to church years ago, this stuck with me. My pastor was talking to me about, not just me, everybody there, but I felt like it was just to me, about being anxious. And he kind of did this whole story. And he said, all right, so this happened. And now you think, oh my gosh, I failed the test because I probably didn't answer those questions right. And then if I fail the test, I'm not going to get that job. And oh my gosh, I'm not going to move on with all of the friends that were in that class with me. And I'm not going to. And he said, you spend days in such an unhealthy mental turmoil. You have gone through the absolute rock bottom scenario that 99% of the time never happens exactly the way you have made it. And he's like, you have now wasted all of this time worrying when you could have had normal days and joy and not thought about it. And when a thought crept up, you could have kind of just moved it to the back. So you need to look at it, right? So you need to give yourself two versions. All right, if Chantel really is mad at me, she hates me. She just hates me. And what does that mean? Well, she hates me. She's probably going to quit her job here. I'm going to have to find another assistant. I mean, look, I could.
This is like mental doomsday prepping.
It really is for me. Or what if she was just tired? Well, if she was just tired, she's probably in a bad mood, and I'm going to give her a little bit, and then I'm going to write her in a half hour and go, hey, you good? Hey, are we okay? Whatever I have to do, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to reassure myself. And I do that a lot more now. And that's hard because it makes you vulnerable.
It does. But I've found that when I've caught myself in those spirals, it's better to just ask. Like my husband will give me some like quick, snippy response. And I'm like, are you mad at me? And he's like, no, I'm just crazy busy. And then I'm like, oh, okay. But there were like before we had kids and we were first married, I'd like spend hours like, oh God, what did I do? I'm not a good wife.
Well, because it's their personalities. You got to know somebody's personality. Yeah. Chris took me out like 2 weeks ago. She's like, let's go for a walk. And I was like, oh no, why are we going for a walk? Is something wrong? What's happening? And, she said, are you okay? Like, you seem mad at me. And I was like, mortified. I was like, I do? I think I was answering her short or, I think we had a lot going on. We were getting ready for superhero. I go, oh my gosh, Chris, I apologize. I go, I am absolutely not mad at you. And I watched just the color come back in her face. And like, I said to her, thank you for doing that. Thank you for pulling me aside and going, are you good? Are we okay? And it's hard for me to do that because for me, I'm showing you that your opinion matters to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a scary place to be.
It is because, I don't want you to know that I love you so much you could hurt me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I'm realizing you need to do that because in almost every situation, somebody's like, oh, what? No. Like, they're like flabbergasted, like, why do you think I'm mad at you? And I'm like, because I'm an empath. I'm an emotional wreck. I'm a monster. I'm an overthinker.
Well, you're a mushy monster. You're not like a scary monster.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, you're.
Are there mushy monsters?
Yeah,
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster's a mushy monster.
And then after you're done going, what is the best case scenario of this, and what is the worst, and really just trying to talk yourself down mentally, you have to say what's mine and what's not. Right? Like, what am I responsible for? I am responsible for my own words. I am responsible for the tone that I talk to you in when I use those words. I am responsible for backing up anything that I write you and how I write you and everything that I do. And let's be honest, guys, AI is everywhere. If you're writing an email and you're like, I don't know if this seems a little bit cranky, you can put this in AI and say, AI, do I need to soften this up? And AI don't care. They're going to tell you. And be like, yeah, that was mean. And they're going to help you rewrite something. So, I'm responsible for all that. We are not responsible for how it's interpreted, right? Mm-hmm. We are responsible for how we meant it. We are not responsible for how somebody writes something to us. That's their own feelings. Like, that's not our responsibility. We may have to talk about it. They really might be mad at us. And, we have to talk about it and then take responsibility if anything we've done has led to that. But we're not responsible for anybody else's words and actions but our own.
Yeah. That's a good outlook.
It's a great outlook. If you want to blame your best friend, don't blame yourself, right? You have to let things go. It's a good outlook. I'm not saying I listen to all of it, but I will say it puts me in such a bad mental frame that I really try hard to talk myself down. And then if I'm not really sure, I wait a little bit and I do ask for clarification. I'm a little bit needy. Maybe people will say that, but this way I'm not thinking about it for 3 days. When somebody else is like, oh gosh, Krista, why would you ever think that? I'm like, really? I just wasted 3 days. I just try to get it out because I know me. I am spiraling and we all do it.
And I've found, because I've been on that side of it so many times, that I've become more upfront. So if I'm in a bad mood and I know that my attitude is coming out and I'm being snippy or I'm being short, I will, it's usually after an interaction, I'll say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I didn't get good sleep. I'm in a bad mood. I'm just not feeling it today. I apologize for however this day may go. It's not you, it's me.
And that's amazing too. I love that because you are now letting everybody around you breathe a little bit. That whatever's going on in the room with your energy has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. I've been on the side of it so many times where you're spiraling. Why should my bad day make everybody else around me spiral? So if I'm just up front and I'm like,
be a Chantel.
Take me with a grain of salt.
Take me with a grain of salt. Be a Chantel.
Be a Chantel.
Maybe that's the t-shirt for this week.
Take me with a grain of salt.
Emotional fatigue. It's really the emotional surveillance that fatigues you. That is a real thing. Overthinking, it's not just annoying, it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it as empaths. We talk about it, it's this constant monitoring of people's tones and people's moods. And then if you can't see their tone and their mood, like you were saying earlier, it's this invisible tension because, you just have this written thing that you're adding all this emotion to that you don't have to. It's like this unpaid job of peace, anticipating needs, and then managing some invisible drama that's not even there. It really will exhaust you.
Yeah, and it keeps you up at night.
It does.
I mean, how many times have you laid in bed and you're like, well, if I said this, it might have gone better, or maybe I should have said it this way, or maybe I should have done this instead. And it's a snowball.
And it increases your rates of depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of been talking about it this whole time, and you can see why. You are now feeling that you failed in some way, and you don't even know what the way is because you haven't had the conversation. So you're making it up. And we make up the worst things. Like, we are drama queens and kings. And I think that's what it is. Like, our nervous system is not designed to take on this kind of emotional surveillance. It's really not. It's not that deep. And most of the time we really shouldn't go that deep. We just do. So how in the world do we stop doing that? Like, can we stop doing that? How do we heal ourselves from all of that? Because I kind of feel like a lot of this goes back to childhood for people. I mean, most things do, right? A lot of this goes back to even being children, right? Children see all these things that adults are facing, and they don't know any better. They immediately think it's them. Somehow they're the reason, they're the cause. So like I try with my kids too, to always say, like, this has nothing to do with you. Mommy's just, having a bad day. And I have to apologize to my kids. And that is also very hard for me to do, because I'm supposed to know better. But I apologize to my kids quite often because, I'm responsible.
But it's a good conversation to have your kids.
Sure.
It's a way to teach them. I snapped at Avery the day she lost her water bottle, and then a few days later she left her lunchbox at school, and I was fed up. It's the end of the year. I didn't want to be paying for a new lunchbox or a new water bottle, and I snapped, and I had to take a step back and be like, you know what? It was an accident. I am sorry. There's a lot going on for mommy. It is not you. And I apologize, but mommy's not perfect, and I do lose my temper. And it's showing our kids that is a normal part of life, but we have to own it.
Absolutely, because we want them to own it.
Yes.
When they're also mommies.
Yes.
It's really important. And one of the things I think that we can do is practice like a delayed response when we're not sure, right? Don't act on the very first anxious assumption that you get. You should pause, you should breathe. We talked about like these different, do they have a pattern of doing this to me? And is this just who they are? Or do they have a pattern of doing this to me? And, they are always mad at me, and that's pruning the bushes there, right there. Those may be the people that you're like, yeah, they have a pattern. It's a toxic pattern. Why do I keep doing this? But delaying your response is important and also something I am not good at. But by delaying it, you have a minute to think outside of the emotion that you're feeling in that moment, right? Build evidence-based thinking, which is what we were talking about earlier. That is evidence-based. Don't go through it emotionally. Go through it scientifically. Who is the person? What do they normally say? Is my relationship healthy with them? Would there be reasons that they would be short with me? Do they have a stressful work life and I'm texting them in the middle of work? Do scientific based evaluations, not emotional ones, right?
Yeah, sometimes we need to get out of our hearts.
And we should create boundaries around how much emotional energy we spend on it if we're worried about it. So if it is something that is worrying us, let's give it a half hour. What could I have said? We could deep dive into, what we possess in this, what's our responsibility in all of this, but then just stop, let it go, take a minute, come back to it. If you feel then, directly hit it head on, as you and I have been saying, and then let it go. You got to give yourself a little time, but it'll eat days and days of your life if you don't say, all right, that's enough. If you have to push it down, whatever you need to do, and reframing it, right? Like, that's when you come back to somebody. And I do that. I may say to you, like, it felt like you might be mad at me, or maybe you felt a little off today, or is it me? Did I do anything? Are you okay? You just reframe it, like, so that when you bring it back to somebody, you're kind of trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to remember that your worth is not determined by someone else's punctuation mark, right?
Ooh.
Sometimes somebody gives you like capital letters, or they give you like an exclamation mark, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. What does that mean?
I usually just call them out. Why are you yelling at me?
I learned that too years ago.
And sometimes it's like,
yelling.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. And then it's like, okay, I can walk away from this. Right. It was an accident.
And half the time, like, I was capitalizing without knowing that meant you were yelling at somebody. Yeah, like I did that for like months. And somebody was like, that means you're yelling. I go, oh, I thought that just means like I'm really using that word, like overemphasize, like I love you. I don't know. So
you're just aggressively telling people you love them.
Right.
That's all good.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
So what are the takeaways from all of this, really, right? Like, I don't want people to think that being emotional is a toxic trait. Being emotional is a gift. It's a great gift. But I think what we need to determine is if that emotional gift leads us into self-doubt, we have to kind of walk away from it. If we start doubting and then spiraling, and we're not just looking at something and just assessing, I think that, it might be time to walk away.
Yeah. And you have to know when that time is there.
Yeah. So like we said, easy. You really got to think about the history with the person, right? You ask them about it, give it a little time and ask them about it if you're really still spiraling. You have to think about their mood, their job. I think for us, a lot of us, we don't realize that at 99% of the time, it's just not about us.
No, and you should be comfortable to ask people.
Absolutely.
Are we okay? We good?
Are we okay?
Are we
because
good, Krista
if we're not
Jones?
okay, we're always okay, Chantal Schaefer. And so, I think you don't need to investigate every single silence. You said it's silence for you. You don't have to dissect every sigh. Not everything that is unsaid is about you. And even if it is, let's go down the spiral. You're going to survive it. Go through your worst case scenarios. You're going to survive it. Let people use their words. And if you have to, then you use your boundaries. And the next time you just start building a whole backstory of K, I want you to just take a breath. I want you to shut it all down. If somebody says K to you, stop spiraling, take a pause, shut it down, go live your beautiful, imperfect life. Because you don't need to earn peace by solving everybody else's emotional puzzle pieces. We love you. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and check us out online at sparrowsnestcharity.org.